Now I am requesting Abdullah Al Mamun sir to start the workshop.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So let's start the meeting. Let me share the slide. So I'm starting my presentation as we have only 2 hours, but already set from my schedule, as Sabri sir already told that I have another program today and it is already going on at Sorwardi Medical College. That is Ostom 8 Medical Debate Festival organized by National Debate Federation Bangladesh BD, National Debate Federation Bangladesh, NDFBD, and I am also the ex-moderator and advisor to the chairman of NDFB. So I have to go over there for the judgment and as well as for running the session as a moderator. No problem. So I think another 30 minutes I will get time for continuing my presentation. So first I'm starting my presentation. I think everybody have watched the Titanic movie. So I think my presentation will be maybe little bit different. So I'm not going with the definition of structural equation modeling. First I'm showing a slide. That is one-page slide, and that is the summary, or that is actually the everything of SmartPLS or SmartPLS structural equation modeling, especially for the SmartPLS. So in SmartPLS, already you got some idea from our honorable guest and guest of honors, Mr. Munir sir, and as well as for Sabri Hussain sir. So actually, who are the first time attending? Actually, due to time shortage, I didn't go for the ice breaking. Though we had limited number of participants, I could go, but I'm not going. Maybe in between, I'll come to know about the participants. So actually, though it is 2 days workshop, not even 2 days, in my cases, I have attended 4 days, means introduction as well as for the advanced level, or especially for my co-supervisors workshop. It is, you can see there are 3 things actually in SmartPLS, especially you have to do in SmartPLS. The first is the assessment for reflective and formative measurement model. Already you got an idea from the host also about the SmartPLS. So see the first things. This is the reflective measurement model. In reflective, first you have to do with your data set. You have to first do the reflective measurement model. You have to test or assess the reflective measurement model. And in reflective measurement model, you have to do 3 things. What are the 3 things? Assessment criteria. What? Internal consistency. Internal consistency will be checked. We have 2 criteria, that is convex alpha. You are familiar with that. Composite reliability. Maybe you are not familiar with that. And the thumb rule for this, the alpha value should be greater than 0.7. Composite reliability value also should be greater than 0.7, and both references are over there. Next, you have to do convergent validity. That is basically by the outer loading, and outer loading, that is for reflective measurement. We will come in details later on. Just you keep in mind the remaining 2 hours or 1 hour 30 minutes actually what I have to do, or maybe actually what is SmartPLS. Outer loading value again should be greater than 0.708, and another things you have to do, that is AVE, that is average variance extracted, and that value should be greater than 0.5. The third thing you have to do, that is discriminant validity. We have 2 of our criteria, that is Cornell and Larter criterion. And that thumb rule is the corresponding value and corresponding value of the corresponding row and corresponding column should be higher. And I'll show you. And the next thing is HTMT criterion, and HTMT value should be smaller than 1, especially one source decline 2011, that is it should be smaller than 0.85, and gold atom 2001, his source is telling that if it is also smaller than 0.90 also accepted. So just keep in mind, in your research model, if you have formative measurement model, and especially also for the higher order construct, you have to drag in 3 things for the validity and reliability of your data set. First is convergent validity. The criteria is redundancy analysis. And redundancy analysis, basically, there are some other option also, but I know one option, that is global single item. You have to, when you are setting the questionnaire, so you have to set a global single item. Then especially for the which one is the higher order construct, and if that higher order construct also is formative measurement model, formative measurement item, in that case it is better to have, or it is better to set a global single item. Then you can do the convergent validity, that will be done by the redundancy analysis. And the thumb rule is the redundancy analysis, that global single item path coefficient will be greater than 0.7. Second criteria, second assessment is that you have to do the collinearity issues. That is for the criteria is outer BIF, and the BIF value should be smaller than 5 or another source is smaller than 3. And the next things you have to do in formative measurement model, that is outer weight and significance. And especially if you don't get your expected result in convergent validity and collinearity issues, you need to delete any item from the measurement item. You have the third option, that is you can check the outer weight and outer significance, show the reliability and validity of your data set. And what is the thumb rule for this? I will show later on. I don't know. Today it is not, maybe not possible. Achieve a significant result by bootstrapping. That value should be, the criteria for this p value should be, for outer weight and outer loading, p value should be smaller than 0.05. This is for the data set reliability validity. If you pass these 2 exams, if you have both the option in your research model, like reflective measurement model and formative measurement model, your reliability and validity of your data set have been established. Now you can go for the last option in the, or last things you have to do, especially the structural model assessment, especially for our hypothesis test, and also the to check the model model power. Okay, so in structural model assessment, you have to pass the 5 exam, or you have to assess 5 steps. The first is the collinearity issues. Thumb rule is collinearity issues, BIF. This BIF is inner model. The same criteria, that BIF value should be less than 5 or less than 3. Path coefficient, basically for the hypothesis testing. And here you have 2 options. You can check the p value, t value both. The p value should be smaller than 0.05, and t value also, if you consider, then you have to consider the 2-tail and 1-tail option. If it is 2-tail hypothesis, you have to consider t value should be greater than 1.645. If your hypothesis is 2-tail, basically we assume the 2-tail hypothesis. In that case, t-tail value should be greater than 1.96. Next, we have to do the coefficients of determination. Coefficient of determination, basically we do for what? We do for the to check the explanatory power of the model, and that is done by the R-square value. And R-square value, there is some criteria for the R-square value. This is one source, means your model is weak or moderate or strong predictive power or not. So that is 0.0 0.5 or 0.5 or 0.75. Some other sources also is there. If I say that how it is, uh, if another source, this is sourced by the I think higher end at all. But if I share the other sources, it is not there, but I'm sharing here from 0.67, it is substantial. If the 0.33, it is moderate, and 0.19 is weak. The reference is Chin 1998. So when you go, I think one day workshop is not for enough. Just today, try to keep in mind the basic things that R square value should be what, and R square value will tell the explanatory power of your research model. And again, you have next we have to do the effect size. Effect size basically the F values, F square values. By the F square values, we will get it. It is SmartPLS software is very smart, so automatically it will give the F square value result, and then how will measure that if your independent variable, its predictive variable has how much is affecting on your dependent variable, especially in SmartPLS, we use the exogenous variable, how it is affecting on endogenous variable, that is dependent variable. So basically, if by effect size we consider that, or we measure that, or we assess that. So again, if the F square value is 0.35, we will say that that predictor or independent variable or exogenous variable has the large influence. If the power is F square value is 0.15, then medium effect. And if the F square value is 0.02, in that case we can say that independent or exogenous variable particularly, it has the small effect on the endogenous variable or dependent variable. Then finally, in the structural model assessment, we the predictive relevance, and basically it is done by the Q square. In predictive relevance, this is another latest addition or latest criteria that is we used to do things, that is Q square value and PLS predict. So PLS predict is the latest update you can say. So Q square value, if the Q square value is greater than 0, we can consider my research model has the predictive relevance. Okay, and PLS predict. So here is the criteria. So I think it will be little bit upper level analysis. So if I discuss the PLS predict, so I think no need to discuss today in details about the PLS predict. Just keep in mind in predictive relevance, basically we used to do we'll go for the formula. We didn't start the even actual discussion. So this basically just keep in mind in predictive relevance, you have to calculate Q square value, and also you have to calculate the PLS predict. So how to calculate the PLS predict, that is also more than 1 hour analysis. So now what I wanted to share, this is very just as a snapshot. Why I mentioned the Titanic movie, I think you know the Titanic movie started with the last scene, and that whole movie goes back to the flashback. If you attend today's workshop or maybe one day's workshop, okay, the whole workshop will be covered only these 3 things. But today maybe not possible, maybe only 30%. One of the part maybe we can show practically, but theoretically maybe we will cover. Let's see how far we can cover. So just keep in mind, you have to remember, you have to assess first reflective measurement model, these 3 criteria, formative measurement model, 3 criteria, and you have to do the structural model assessment. You have to pass these 5 steps. That's all. So I'm closing this slide now because my movie will start now. So I think at this moment, don't be tense, or no need to ask any question also, because actually I didn't start my actual slide. But keep in mind, the whole SmartPLS is 3 things: reflective measurement model, formative measurement model, and structural model assessment. I think these things I understood maybe when I attended several workshops, then only finally I understood, okay, this is SmartPLS. Introduction, first you should know, as you are the beginner, so you should know some of the history of the SmartPLS. So not SmartPLS, especially the structural equation modeling. Actually, the main workshop title is the structural equation modeling. That is SEM. Basically, it has two parts, so it will come. Let's see how SEM has started.